Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Highwind, and today's collection video is going to be one of my favorite handhelds ever, the Nintendo 3DS. I've noticed a sudden surge in everybody wanting them. I was kind of confused that everybody passed on them, because it's actually a nice, decent little system. It's got a lot of good RPGs on it, and a lot of just random miscellaneous games that just are plain fun. Fun fact, I was the very first person in my town to receive my 3DS when it originally came out. Yes, I'm talking to the original, like $300, almost $400 system. The guys that, at the time working at the local EV Games, allowed me and my friend in because we had been waiting outside for hours. They were supposed to do a midnight launch, and they never did. So we were the only two people around. They let us in. Since I paid for mine completely, they gave it to me. Went and sat down at the, in the comfy chairs in the mall and played until the battery died. I picked up Street Fighter 4 and Samurai Warriors Chronicles, which is still one of my favorite games on the system to this day. I've been through every iteration of the DS except for when it turned into the 2DS. I had the original 3DS. I had a 3DS XL. When that one started going, my then girlfriend, my wife bought me the new 3DS, which is what I have now, the new 3DS XL. And it's still going. It's got a little bit of damage because the finish they used on it was not very good in a heated environment, and I guess my vehicle got too hot when we were in Drumheller one year for summer. But there's a lot of great games. I've got actually a decent pile. I've got a lot of a few of the harder to find games now. But let's start, shall we? So we've got Animal Crossing New Leaf. For some reason I couldn't get into this. It wasn't until New Horizons when I really got into Animal Crossing. Eventually want to go back and actually try to play this just because everybody, when the system came out, was playing it, and it drove me nuts that I couldn't play it because I just found it boring. But also the Wild World, but New Horizon really changed that. We got Beyblade Evolution. Simply bought this one because it was cheap, and I've never seen another copy since. I did try playing it. Really didn't care for it much. There's a lot of bad games on the 3DS, and that's one of them. Bravely Default, loved it except for the ending a little bit, but it was a great game. I think I spent like 90 hours playing it, and I played it while I was at work. Then Bravely Second Endlair fixed all the problems of the first game, and didn't actually feel really repetitive. Codename Steam, it's an XCOM-like game, but you need to have the new 3DS to play it, otherwise it runs so slow. But even on the new 3DS, it doesn't run much faster. Fun game though. Killer Princess, this is I do believe this is what you call the launch edition, or at least the first run edition. Great game. Played it through and through. Missed by chance on getting it for the Switch, but eventually I'll go and pick it up. Dead or Alive Dimensions, like I said in previous videos, especially like the Xbox. I love Dead or Alive. They're great fighting games. They actually had a big fighting community back when I was playing this one. It's good. There's a lot of unlockables, a lot of things to do, just like the bigger games. Dragon Ball Z Extreme Botuden, great fighting game. Absolutely loved it. I don't know anybody who owns it though. Dragon Ball Fusions, great game. I hate the fact that they took out the swords in, I do believe it's in all the North American copies, and they gave them sticks instead. It's like, what's the difference? You're still going to hurt somebody. But a great game for just any Dragon Ball fan. Fuse characters together, and it's fun. Dragon Quest VII Fragments of the Forgotten Past, of the Forgotten Past. I never played my copy of this on the PlayStation, but I played this through and through. Great game. They made the intro short, because I think the intro used to take like 5+ hours to do through the tutorial, and they streamlined things. They put things in here that I have that are not in other Dragon Quest games, which bugs me, but yeah. Dragon Quest VII Journey of the Cursed King. I had to buy this because of how much I love the PS2 version. The only problem I have with this one is, one of the only problems is they've censored it, so it's not the North American copy. It's using the PAL region stuff, And I do believe they took out the orchestral sound and put in just MIDI. That doesn't bother me because the MIDI versions of all the music are like my go-to. But really good. They did add a few things, like they've added 2 new characters. You can get Red and you can get Mori as actual fighters instead of just being side characters for the story. Disney's Epic Mickey Power Revolution, great game. This is what brought me into playing the Epic Mickey games, even though I actually haven't sat down to play the other ones, but it's still very fun. Etrian Odyssey 4, this is Legends of the Titan. I haven't really got into this one as much. I'm still struggling through the first game. I did not manage to get a copy of the 5th game, which bugs me, but these are really good dungeon crawlers. Ever Oasis, I really haven't actually played it. My brother recommended it to me, and then for the life of me, could not find a copy no matter how hard I looked, and then one day EB Games had it, and I just snapped it up, even though I think that day I spent 20 bucks on it. I think I only had like 40 bucks in my pocket. Fantasy Life, another great RPG. You can be flipping whatever you want. You can cook, fisherman, blacksmith, paladin. I think there's archers and a bunch of other stuff. Each class has a story, and you just start over as that level 1. It's really fun. Final Fantasy Explorers. This is basically Square Enix's answer to Monster Hunter. Fun, but you need to have friends in order to fully appreciate these kind of games. Fire Emblem Awakening, excellent game. Can't go wrong with good turn-based strategy. Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia Echoes, another great game in the series. Then Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright, good game, hard game. No, it's not. That one wasn't too hard. It was actually Conquest. That was hard. It kept me on my toes the whole way through. And then Fire Emblem Warriors, good game, especially if you like Samurai Warriors or Dynasty Warriors. Harvest Moon 3D, The Tale of Two Towns. There is a DS version of this, if I'm not mistaken, and it's basically the exact same thing. All they did with this one, I think, is just add the 3D, which for most 3DS games doesn't really do anything. A harder game to find, and I really would have loved to play it with friends, but I think I only knew one person, and neither one of us had the capability of playing with each other at that point. But it's Heroes of Ruin. Again, this is Square's answer to Diablo on the handheld. It was a great game. In the beginning, you had weekly challenges and daily challenges and doing just regular stuff with other players. It had a bustling community, but now I do believe all the online stuff has been shut down, and I don't see copies very often. Hyrule Warriors Legends, good game. I found that even with a new 3DS, this game lagged behind like nobody's business, but it's a great game to play. Kid Icarus Uprising. This is the one that comes with the little stand. That stand is sorely needed just because I hate the controls. It's the only reason why I haven't gone to finish this game yet, is the controls are a pain. You gotta hold the 3DS in one hand and stylus with the other. Even if you had the Circle Pad Pro, you would have to choose if you're going to control him with this one or with this one, and then stylus with whatever hand was free. Even on the 3DS, or even on the new 3DS with the nub, it wasn't any better. Kingdom Hearts 3 Dream Drop Distance. I've never actually played this. I don't know why I've never played it. I just never touched it. Kirby Triple Deluxe, excellent game. Do believe I thought this was something else, but no, this is a very fun game. I finished it in, I think, less than a few hours. It wasn't very long, just a lot of stuff that wasn't in there before. And then we have The Legend of Legacy. This is the launch edition for the game. I have not seen too many copies of this either. It seems like a lot of people hated it. I've got that, and then I keep this on the shelf rather than the big box. It's a very difficult game. I tried 4 or 5 times to get into it, and just, for the life of me, could not get into it. It irked me. And I don't know why. It just irked me. Next up, Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Flippin' amazing game on the 3DS. I sat down and played it just basically straight through. Good sequel to a game that I know a lot of people like. I mean, I like it too, but I know that people out there that don't like Legend of Zelda that don't care for it. But it's great. Just the contrast between the light and the dark made it so really good. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D. Good story behind this is we couldn't find it for like 3 months after it came out. This is the point where I wasn't pre-ordering anything. It got sold out everywhere. Eventually, I went and walked into EB Games. I saw it on the back shelf and asked if they had 2 copies because a friend wanted it. And we'd made a bet that I would never buy it for him, and I would never make him pay me back for it if I did. To this day, he has not been able to pay it back. I won't let him. But it's a really good port of the game. Majora's Mask 3D. Excellent game. My wife actually got that one for me. The Legend of Zelda: Triforce Heroes. I haven't actually played it, but I did play the Game Boy Advance one when it was released for the Ambassador program. Luigi's Mansion. I was so stoked when this showed up on the 3DS because I never actually got to play the original one. I still haven't finished it. It's fun, but I don't think they did the controls very well. And then Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. This is the second game in the series, technically. Great game. Finished that within a couple of days. Mario and Luigi's Dream Team. Great game. The wife got really annoyed playing it. I think it does get a little harder after a while. Mario Golf World Tour. I have to have all the Mario Golf games if I can manage it. This one's good. Mediocre online, but still fun to play. Mario Kart 7. What can I say about that? Mario Party Island Tour. Fun little game to play on your own. You don't need to have 4 copies. Like if you're playing with 4 friends, you don't need to have 4 copies. You can do the download play, and it works very well, actually. Miitopia. Excellent game. I might buy this on the Switch again. I liked the original Mii game that was just on the system for the 3DS, and then this came out, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is a fun game. It does take a little while to play it, but it is fun. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Trying to get into Monster Hunter doesn't work. You always get one game that you don't like. Monster Hunter Generations. This one's okay. This one's more takes content from all the games, or all the games at that point, but still not my cup of tea. Paper Mario Sticker Star. Good game. Not the best Paper Mario game out there, but still pretty fun when it wants to be. This is Persona Q. Shadow of the Labyrinth, dungeon crawler from the Etrian Odyssey guys, with the Persona 3 and 4 cast. I want to get my hands on the second one, but it's so hard to find now. I don't know why I didn't pre-order it when it was coming out, and why I didn't just buy it then, but it is hard enough to find. Pilot Wings Resort, fun game. I've beaten that quite a few times just for fun. Pokemon Omega Ruby, good. This is actually, I played this one before the Game Boy Advance game, because that Generation 3, I was so burnt out from Pokemon that I just didn't care. Pokemon Sun. This was sent to me from my brother down in the States. Fun game. Every time a Pokemon game comes out, we have to decide which one we're going to play. Up until recently, like with Sword and Shield, I bought a copy of both for me and the wife, and then Brilliant, the newer ones, the remakes of the, I think, 5th gen. I just got the double pack for that. And then for Scarlet and Violet, I'm just buying the double pack for that as well, just because we're going to play it one way or the other. Pokemon X, actually did like that one just a little bit. I like the transfer into 3D. It actually worked really well. Another oddity, Project Cross Zone Limited Edition, strategy game, turn-based strategy game with characters from the Bandai Namco universes. And I'm pretty sure there's a game before this. I don't know. I don't think we ever got it here. Puzzles and Dragons Z with Puzzles and Dragons Super Mario Edition. This doesn't work anymore. One day, randomly, the cartridge stopped working. Luckily for me, I finished it at this point, and that was all that mattered. Resident Evil Revelations. Fun game. This is actually, I really like this on this system just because it played extremely well. I unfortunately did not get one of the ones that was misprinted, which sucks. But beggars can't be choosers. Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D. Great game if you like the Mercenaries stuff. The only problem with this is Capcom didn't want you trading their games, so they only put one save file in it, so you couldn't even just lend it to somebody to play. They end up having all your stuff, and kind of didn't work. Ridge Racer 3D. This was a launch title, and actually I think I picked this one up that day too. It's actually really fun. The 3D does give you a little bit of a headache though. RPG Maker Fez. Picked this one up because I knew it was going to be an oddity, and again, have not seen it anywhere. I've seen mention of it. I want to try to get MV for the Switch, if that's the one that's actually on the Switch. But it's weird, you can't make very big games with it. Even if you have a bigger memory card, you can only make games that are certain size, and you have to make them in sequence, but it's really annoying. Rune Factory 4. I have not played it. Samurai Warriors Chronicles. This is an amazingly good game. I do believe this is basically the third game. The 3D in this game is awesome. They actually did it correctly, where instead of it just cheaply looking 3D, everything's sort of popping out at you. You got to play your own character, male or female. You got to the only thing that was missing was they didn't have some of the one of the most legendary samurais out there, Miyamoto Musashi. But I played it through and through many times. It kept me so busy. I think I have clocked the most hours on my 3DS into that. Next we have Shin Megami Tensei 4. This is the launch edition. Unfortunately, my box is starting to fall apart at the seams. I may have to go and glue it one of these days just to keep it together. Here's the regular box. Excellent game. I did not get my hands on Apocalypse because at that time I was still playing that. But I did get my hands on Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. This is a hard to find one just because, one, I think they only did one production run of it, and it did not sell well. And this is also based off of a game, I think at the time when it came out, a game that was like 10 or 15 years old, that was released on the Saturn. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Saturn. It's a very hard game compared to other ones. It drove me nuts just to play it. We got this old wonky here. Yokai Watch, great game, especially if you're burnt out from Pokemon. I did not get any other ones in the series just because I got into that one like way too late. Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, excellent game. My only concern is just how it is like super chopped down compared to the new Switch version. But they did a very good job dropping it to a system that should never have been able to play it at all, which is amazing to say the least. Ultimate NES Remix, fun game. Takes a bunch of the old NES games and makes it so that levels have been changed, like things you may know from like Super Mario suddenly have just like one alteration or 1,000 alterations, and now you're no longer able to play. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Shadow Wars, another XCOM style game. This one's actually really fun. It's a difficult game though. It drove me up the wall. Theatrhythm Final Fantasy. It's self-explanatory. It's a music game with the Final Fantasy music. Tekken 3D Prime Edition. Big into Tekken, so had to get it. It's actually not that bad. It seems a little chopped out. Like I think there's content that could be in there that's not, and the 3D effects are really bad. Tales of the Abyss. Haven't finished this one. I can't get over how whiny the main character is, so it turns me off from it. It's the only Tales game that I really don't care for. Sushi Striker, The Way of the Shushido. Great game. I might pick it up on 3DS if it's ever cheaper. It's very fun. It's basically a match game, but it's really fun because you're defeating your enemies with sushi. Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. This is a great representation of the 3D use in the game. I have no complaints over this, except for the fact that I can never find anybody to play the game with, because, again, nobody other than me and my one friend had a 3DS. Even my buddy Sebastian didn't have some of the games that we were playing, because he was into more of the lighthearted games, other than like Metroid or Smash Brothers. Speaking of Smash Brothers, here's Super Smash Bros. 3DS. I like this one more than I like the Wii U version. Everything just seemed a little bit more crisp on this for some reason. I don't know why, just the way I felt. Super Mario 3D Land. Excellent Mario game. Steel Diver. This was a decent game. It was a launch title. I did not get it at launch. I found it eventually. You have to control your sub through your touch screen to control the ballast in the sub. It's hard in some places, but still fun. Star Fox 64 3D. This is a really recent acquisition, I think, within the last year. I really love Star Fox 64, but I never could find it for the 64, so this was the next best thing. Spirit Camera, The Cursed Memoir. This is a game you can literally lie down in bed and play. It's fun, but challenging. The Sims 3. Not much I can say about it. It's like any other handheld Sims, really bad. And last but not least, Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux. They added so much stuff to this off of the DS version. Like, the DS version was huge, but that has so much more in it. But that's my entire collection. There's a whole whack of other games I want for the system, but it's a matter of finding them, and some of them are just a wee bit pricier than what what you'd want to pay these days, but may have to one of these days. I want to get the remainder of the ones that I don't have that I want. But thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.